Do you ever wonder why fear often seems to get the better of us, preventing us from reaching our full potential? Fear is a potent and primal force. It's an emotion that has the capacity to paralyze our dreams, to freeze us in our tracks, to stop us from taking that leap of faith towards our goals. Let's consider the story of John, a talented musician. John had a gift for melody, a knack for rhythm, but he also had a crippling fear of performing live. This fear, this invisible yet palpable barrier, kept him from sharing his talent with the world. It held him back from pursuing his passion, from living a life filled with the music he loved. Fear, in its raw form, can be overpowering, it can be stifling, it has the power to dictate the course of our lives, to overshadow our potential. So, fear can indeed act as a formidable barrier, but remember, it's not insurmountable. But what exactly is fear? Why does it hold such sway over us? Fear. It's a term we all know, but do we truly understand it? It's more than just a word or a feeling. It's a complex psychological response, a survival mechanism that has been ingrained in us since the dawn of humanity. You see, our ancestors experienced fear as a response to immediate threats, like a prowling predator or a deadly storm. It was a tool for survival, a trigger for the fight or flight response that could mean the difference between life and death. But in our modern world, the nature of our fears has evolved. Today, we are more likely to fear the results of a medical test, or the consequences of a financial decision, or the possibility of failure in our personal or professional lives. These fears may not threaten our physical survival, but they can have a profound impact on our psychological and emotional well-being. Let's consider an example. Imagine a young woman who has always dreamed of becoming a professional singer. She has a beautiful voice and a genuine passion for music, but she's been told all her life that it's an unrealistic dream, that she should focus on something more secure, more dependable. That fear of failure, of disappointment, that fear of not living up to expectations becomes a barrier. It holds her back from pursuing her passion, from achieving her potential. Or consider an older man who has just been diagnosed with a serious illness. The fear of the unknown, of what's to come, can be overwhelming. It can consume his thoughts, his emotions, affecting not only his mental health but also his physical recovery. These fears, while they may seem insurmountable, are not concrete, tangible obstacles. They are born from our past experiences and our anticipation of future events. They are a product of our minds, our perceptions, our expectations, and this is where the power lies. If our fears are a product of our minds, then we have the power to change them. We have the power to understand them, to confront them, to overcome them. Thus, understanding fear is the first step towards overcoming it. Now that we understand fear, how do we go about conquering it? The key to conquering fear lies in our ability to confront it, to stare it down, and to refuse to let it control us. There are practical methods that anyone can employ to conquer their fears, and today we're going to discuss two such methods: exposure therapy and cognitive restructuring. Exposure therapy is a technique that involves gradually and systematically exposing yourself to the thing that scares you in a controlled and safe environment. Imagine you're afraid of heights. With exposure therapy, you might start by imagining being in a high place. Then you might visit a tall building and look out from a low floor. Gradually, you'd work your way up to standing on the roof, until, eventually, you no longer feel that gripping terror when you look down. Cognitive restructuring, on the other hand, is a process that helps you to identify and challenge the negative thought patterns that fuel your fears. With this method, you learn to replace those fear-inducing thoughts with more rational and realistic ones. Let's say you're terrified of public speaking. Cognitive restructuring might involve challenging the idea that messing up a speech would be a catastrophe and replacing that thought with the more rational belief that everyone makes mistakes and it's not the end of the world. Now, let's bring these methods to life with some real-life success stories. Consider the case of Emily, who had a crippling fear of spiders. Through exposure therapy, she gradually desensitized herself to the point where she could hold a tarantula in her hand without panicking. Or think about John, who overcame his fear of rejection through cognitive restructuring, learning to see rejection as a learning opportunity rather than a personal failure. These stories are proof that fear can be conquered, but remember, it's not a race or a competition. Everyone's journey is unique, and it's perfectly okay to move at your own pace, to take baby steps, and to seek help when you need it. Remember, the journey of overcoming fear is a personal one, and it's perfectly okay to seek help. So what happens when we conquer our fears? What doors does it open? Imagine a life where you're not bound by the shackles of fear, a life where you have the freedom to explore, to create, to grow, and to live to your fullest potential. That's the life that awaits you on the other side of fear. Overcoming fear isn't just about not being scared anymore. It's about unlocking a new level of personal growth and success. It's about breaking free from the constraints that have been holding you back and stepping into a world of possibilities. Think about some of the greatest achievers in history. People like Martin Luther King Jr., who overcame the fear of persecution and led a movement that changed the course of history. Or Malala Yousafzai, who faced down fear of violence to stand up for the right to education. Their stories are a testament to the power of overcoming fear. Fear can be a powerful motivator, but it can also be a powerful barrier. It can keep us stuck in our comfort zones, afraid to take risks, afraid to step out of the familiar and into the unknown. But when we overcome fear, we break down those barriers. We open up a whole new world of possibilities. We unlock our full potential. When we conquer our fears, we're not just getting rid of something negative, we're gaining something positive. We're gaining the freedom to pursue our passions, to follow our dreams, to make a difference in the world. We're gaining the ability to live life on our own terms. Overcoming fear is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see all the possibilities that were always there, just waiting for you to discover them. You can see the path to your dreams, and you have the courage to walk down that path. So think about it. What could you achieve if you weren't held back by fear?